This is a quick first look and a teardown of this solar security light. Now normally I don't give the link or description or vendor name, but these all look the same and there's got to be 10 billion of this particular style of wall light. So because of that I'm going to be more specific about which one this is, but there's no affiliate link or anything like that. I'm not trying to sell you anything, and I bought this light with my own money so I could test it. So the first impression of this light when I got it out, I actually got a 2-pack, is it's much bigger than I thought it was. It's much more substantial, and so I was happy about that. Um, can't really speak for the waterproofing. I mean, you really have to open it up. This is not that kind of light. I usually have certain things I do to my solar lights to modify them and to do extra waterproofing, and I'm pretty sure this light here is going to require, for my peace of mind, some extra waterproofing, and I know just how to do that. And I'll probably make some videos on that, or I'll show you the mods that I do to this light, but I'll definitely be modifying it. However, I'm going to open it up and see just what have they done to make this waterproof, because you can't really tell until you look inside. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, I've removed all the screws around the battery door, and there's an 18650 in there. 1800 milliamp hours or 1.8 amp hours. And there is a kind of a gasket around here. It looks like a gasket. Yeah, there's a possibly a foam rubber or some kind of gasket material, and I probably need to zoom the camera a bit, but it only goes to right here and stops, and you can see that this is kind of a water drainage area. You have a switch thing here, and the switch is deliberately set in such a way that it has access, or I should say you have access to it. So that's actually open in there. And that way water should hopefully, if there was any water in here, it should drain out. So obviously they are thinking about waterproofing in this light. So at least the battery compartment, it technically is open to the elements because, yeah, there would be, but hopefully no water gets in from the top. But I have some ideas on how to keep water from ever getting in from the top, so I'm not terribly concerned about that. So the only question remains is, what about the rest of the light? Because as you can see, there's a lot more screws all the way around. Now sometimes these lights are glued shut, and when that happens I really don't tear down any farther because I don't want to damage my brand new solar light. And besides, I've kind of seen enough here anyway. But I'm going to attempt to get into the rest of the light by opening it up through these screws here. And I don't know if that's going to work or not. Looks like there's clips or tabs at the bottom. I can see them. Hopefully you just take these screws out. There's a lot of screws. And then just open it up and then we can see inside. So let me give that a shot and I'll be right back. It has a ton of screws, but it does look like it's not glued. This comes off. There's your battery compartment right there. And there's a look inside. Hopefully that's coming across on the camera. I may zoom in a little bit later. And you have your solar panel right here. Oh no, that's your LED panel. Gotta say, those wires need some hot glue or something on them. They're just stuck in holes there. You would not be able to reattach that very easily. I'm going to be putting some tape or something on those wires. There's your solar panel. Okay, so this is the top of the light right here. And I'm going to zoom in and show you the detail. Okay, here's a zoom in. So this is the top of the light right here. So your solar panel is right along here on the top. And there's some silicone or epoxy or something coming right there. Those are the two wires that soldered onto the solar panel. Right there. Right there. And, you know, that shouldn't allow any water in. And it looks like this is all a one-piece plastic shell. So I'm looking at the top. You got to look at it like a house. The roof would be the top part. So you don't want any cracks or holes in the roof. So right now I don't see any way that water can get in through the solar panel. I don't see any way water can get in through that. Although the epoxy, the sealing compound is maybe not as generous as I like it to be. But it's not a disaster because I could always add a little more on top if I wanted to. And it's not hot glue. It's a rubbery compound, silicone compound. But I will say this is a very neatly built light. It's very clean work inside. I don't see any problem. Next thing I'm going to look at is the PCB. I wonder how far I can zoom. Let me try to zoom in on that. Alright, so there's the PCB. Very simple and clean and small. I do see some very interesting components on here. and I'd love to look all those up and everything maybe some other day. But it looks okay. Yeah. So the only problem I see is potentially water getting in from the back. I'm not worried about the top right here. Let me see if I don't want to bend the wires too much. The solar panel, well, you can't even really see that. The solar panel's on the top. The only place it has for water to get in would be where you see that little rectangle of a compound there. And I don't think any water is going to get in there because it's sealed very nicely all the way around. Very sticky, rubbery substance. I don't think water is going to get in there. So if any water came in, it would be right at the top where you see this right here. Now there is a kind of a gasketing material, it's like a foam rubber on the cover plate, but just due to the way it's designed, I don't feel comfortable, and I will be taking some extra waterproofing steps on this light. However, I gotta say the design is not too bad, so I don't really have a problem with it. So let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and close this up here and look at the bottom where the LEDs are. Okay, so all right, so let me zoom out and let's look at the bottom. Okay, so the bottom, where the lights are, the LEDs are, you have this clear lens that's in the bottom, and potentially, some water could seep in behind here and get in there. However, once again, I have some waterproofing measures that I'm going to do that I do to a lot of my solar lights, and it's kind of hard for me to tell. Like this area here looks like it's a separate piece here, and the sides, I don't know. I can't decide. There's like a place here. It looks like it's a separate piece. It's hard for me to say for sure. Anyway, if water did come in there, yeah, I would not want water coming in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a way that I waterproof lights for very cheap, for very little money. It's not the best looking, but let's be honest, this is not a looking good thing. This is a security and securing your property thing. So if it's a little bit unattractive, I'm willing to overlook that as long as I get good light. So I would say that for the waterproofing design on this light, they obviously care about waterproofing, and the engineers put effort into it. So I would say this light has a chance at surviving in the wild. I would like to see conformal coating on the PCB, but you can't have everything. I don't think there is any on there. And I do like the fact that they at least have a drain way. Well, there's sort of a drain way for water to get out here in the battery compartment. But for the rest of the unit, I don't see any way. Now let's see, is there a way for water to get out? I guess technically there is. It would be right here at these tabs. So yeah, water could weep out. If any water got in, it should be able to come down here at the bottom and weep out. But your first goal is to make sure no water ever gets in. So let me put this back together again, and then I will show you what I'm going to do to waterproof this unit. I like doing, it's a very cheap technique, it's very simple, and it's not the best looking, but there might be better ways to go about it. I'm not too worried about how it looks. I'm worried about this light lasting at least 2 or 3 years. And I'll be back and I'll show you what I'll do. I got it all back together again. It's not hard to open up, so you could definitely work on this, service it, and upgrade it. So the number one strategy for waterproofing this light, in my opinion, after looking at its design, you do not want water getting in behind it. Yes, it has gaskets, but you don't want this getting wet. Now, this light has an advantage in that it is a wall-hugging light. It stays on the wall. So if you can just stop the water from getting in behind it, that's most of the problem right there solved for you. So one way you can do it is, if you're mounting on vinyl siding, you can mount it so that the little laps on siding come right into contact with this edge right here. You can just shove it right up under there and mark the holes and put some little screws in there, and then further waterproof those screws. Now let me show you what I do for waterproofing a light like this. Now there's different ways to go about it, but I've been using this method for a while and it seems to work. So let me show you how that works. Alright, here's what I do. This has worked for me. I don't say it's the best way to do it, but it's been working. You take this 3M metal aluminum tape, foil tape. Now they have different types of this. I would recommend the tough stuff. Not too thick, but don't get the cheap stuff. And the first thing is you take isopropyl alcohol and you degrease the plastic. Make sure it's clean and doesn't have any grease or film or anything on it. And then if you know how the roof of a house is built, it's built so that the shingles at the bottom are underneath the shingles at the top. And you just keep, so you start at the bottom and you very carefully apply this tape. And you got to be careful and do a neat job. So you would start at the bottom, you just cover up the top, or I'm sorry, the bottom, cover up the bottom. Make sure and lap your tape a little bit over the sides here, because you can see that this seam right there goes right to the edge. So you're going to have to come around and try to fold the tape around. It's not the best looking. And your goal is to stop water from even getting in these cracks in the first place. What you're doing is you're adding an extra layer of waterproofing, kind of like shingles on the roof of a house, to the solar light. Now, not all solar lights can be waterproof this way, but this one here is a piece of cake. Other than the edges, I'm not enjoying looking at these edges. I know that's going to be a little bit tedious right here. But if I take the extra effort now and cover all these cracks up, you'll have both the gaskets and this tape blocking water from getting in. Now, what I wouldn't do is cover the bottom. I do want the bottom edge open a little bit, because in case any water gets in, it's going to fall straight at the bottom, and you want to have that water kind of weeping out at the bottom if there's any in there. So it functions as a drain. So be careful of that. And then for the front of the unit, what I'll probably do is when I mount this on the siding, which is where it's going to be mounted, I will take a little bit of tape or aluminum flashing, and I'll have a little drip edge coming down covering up the screw holes. And or if I wanted to, I could take the aluminum tape and maybe do something here at this top edge. But I saw the inside of this thing, and I really don't think any water is going to come in through the solar panel, so I'm not too worried about that. However, I am worried about this lens here. And so what I'll probably do is take metal tape, stick it right here, and then have it come down here and cover up this lens where it's black, this black edge right here. Just have it cover the whole area up. And if I was really paranoid, I'd make a little cover over this PIR sensor over the top, a little roof. Now again, not attractive, it's not going to look pretty, but it does work, and it will give you extra waterproofing. And that's just one of the simple and cheap techniques I'm fond of using for these solar lights. If you spend $20, $30 on a solar light, why not spend 10 cents more in tape to give it another year or two of life? Who knows, it could be longer than that. So just do the arrangement of this light and the way it's built. I strongly feel that you would not want water getting into the back of it, and that would be number one. If you're going to protect the light, protect the back. That's the most vulnerable, and if any water gets into this thing, it will corrode and rust everything, destroy it. So I'm going to spend the 10 cents on tape on this light, get it all covered up. I might do something on the front, but it's not hard. It's not really going to take me much effort at all. After seeing the inside of this light, I'm not worried about it. I think it'll last, and I'm actually pretty happy with this light. I don't have too much to say against it. I know most people are not willing to put the effort in, but if you're like me and you like playing with solar panels and lights, it's fun to make little modifications and updates to these lights and just see if it works or not. It's like an engineering field test, I'm not disappointed in these lights. I have two of them. I am going to put them up. I will be making some waterproofing mods or upgrades to them, and I like doing that. But the light output, I gotta say, I took them outside, and the light output was not disappointing. I took the light outside and tested it, and I was very happy with the amount of light it put out. In fact, I was amazed. I will say the manual that comes with this light is great. It's pretty easy to read. It has quite a lot of text, and it takes a lot of effort to make something like this. I even have a diagram showing you the sensor angle and installation height and whatnot. Very impressed. And I'm sure a lot of products like this have no manual at all, or not a very good one. As far as the light modes, it has 3 modes. Medium light mode, it says it'll last 12 hours. And then in dim mode, it can last 50 hours, which is very impressive. And I hate it when solar lights run out, after 4 hours. Then it has sensor mode without dim light. That means it stays off, and it comes on really bright if somebody walks in front of it, which is very useful. See, this is very useful. Modes 2 and 3, very important for a security light. I like having a choice. So I'm not going to go through the whole manual, but I will say it checks every box. I have no problem with it. And of course, I'm probably going to use dim mode with sensor, and I think that's how I'm going to install these lights. I want to have some light all the time, but I do like the fact you can leave it in tripwire mode, which is basically, if I understand the manual correctly, completely blacked out until somebody moves or tries to sneak by, and then it comes on at full blast. And this light is really bright, and if somebody was sneaking around your property and you have 1 or 2 of these and they lit up, I don't think they're going to feel very comfortable. I think they're going to run off. That's what I think. It's hard to show solar lights on camera and do them justice, but I will try to make the light come on. Oh, there we go. Got to cover up the solar panel. very bright. The camera is not going to show that, but it is very bright. I'm not disappointed in the light output at all, and I think it puts out more than enough light for a dark corner on a home, which is what this was designed for. It's not going to light your whole yard up, but it's definitely a bright enough light to enhance security. Now, I'm not trying to sell you anything, and I'll refrain from trying to promote. I will be showing which light this is because they all look the same. I like them. I'm glad I bought them. I'm not disappointed. I'm a little nervous about water getting in, but that's with all solar lights. This design is okay. So I will put a picture in this video of the solar light, the brand, and everything. But you know, a price and purchase link are not in the description. I'm not trying to sell you anything, and I'm just trying to spread the knowledge around and help anybody that I can. And I know a lot of people buy lights like this and are frustrated when they don't last, or they don't perform as advertised. I just discovered that there are 2 drainage holes right here at the corner. They're very small, and that's proper design. So there are drainage holes just in case water does get in. So that's good. They've thought of everything, covered the bases. I haven't installed these lights yet. I may make a update on the end of this video with some comments or possibly a photograph after the install is complete. But otherwise, at least this video will give you some idea of the construction, what it's like inside, and whether it's worth the effort or not, and also some ideas for extra waterproofing in case you're interested in that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.